Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you have ever felt like your body is weathering a literal hurricane of physical symptoms, intrusive thoughts, and just absolute emotional exhaustion, all while everything looks completely calm on the outside, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're doing something really special. We are exploring a powerful overview called Conquering the Storm, a guide to anxiety and inner peace. Basically, we're going to bridge the gap between hard medical neuroscience and profound spiritual wisdom. The goal? To build you a comprehensive roadmap for reclaiming your mental state.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be moving through 5 clear stages. 1. The anatomy of anxiety. 2. Real-world triggers and storms. 3. The sensitized nervous system. 4. The alarm recovery protocol. And finally, 5. Mastering your inner peace. We're not just going to dwell on the problems here. We're going to guide you safely through the waters to a real, practical resolution. All right, let's build our foundation with Section 1, the anatomy of anxiety, and understanding the biology of the storm.
Okay, first things first. If you are dealing with racing heartbeats, dizziness, or intense brain fog, listen to me. Those sensations are completely real. You aren't imagining them. Actually, your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do to keep you alive. But we really need to draw a line here between normal stress, like, being nervous before a job interview, and an actual anxiety condition. An anxiety condition is when that primal fight or flight response pops up for absolutely no apparent reason, hangs around for extended periods, and basically starts severely impacting your day-to-day life. It's essentially a state where your body's internal alarm bell is stuck ringing, even when there's literally no fire. And hey, if you feel like you're the only one whose alarm bell is stuck, the sheer scale of this might surprise you. Get this, nearly 32% of adolescents experience an anxiety disorder, almost a third. That is a staggering number. So to put that in perspective, you are absolutely not alone in facing this storm. Millions of people are navigating this exact same biological response right alongside you.
So what is actually happening under the hood here? Well, it starts with the amygdala. Think of this tiny almond-shaped structure in your brain as a highly overprotective security guard. When it senses danger, it alerts the hypothalamus, which then floods your body with epinephrine, which we all know as adrenaline. That adrenaline is what causes your heart to pound and your breath to quicken. But the real problem kicks in when this tiny guard loses its ability to distinguish between a minor annoyance, like a harmless cockroach, and a genuine, life-threatening danger like a venomous snake. It just keeps dumping adrenaline into your system constantly. And over time, this chronic stress response can even weaken your immune system, actually making you physically sick.
Moving on to Section 2, real-world triggers and storms. What happens when the world shakes you? So our internal biology is one part of the puzzle, right? But external dynamics often hijack our peace and set off that internal alarm. Take ghosting, for example. It is an incredibly common trigger. You meet someone, things are going fantastic, you feel like you found your person, and then, poof, they completely vanish. It leaves you desperately searching for answers, and your anxiety just spikes. But here's the thing you have to remember. The ghosting is your closure. When an avoidant partner disappears because things got too intimate, their silence is the ultimate proof that they simply aren't suitable for a healthy, long-term relationship. Trying to squeeze answers out of them, that's only going to spin your nervous system further out of control. And this builds perfectly into another severe external stressor: manipulative relationship dynamics. Narcissists, for instance, often use a highly predictable 4-step fake apology playbook. First, they create a problem. Second, they blame you for it. Third, they punish you with the silent treatment. And fourth, they wait until your anxiety totally peaks so they can turn around and call you crazy. It's wild, right? When you are exposed to this kind of psychological turbulence over time, your brain simply cannot relax. That brings us to Section 3. The sensitized nervous system, and how we end up trapped in the loop. Prolonged exposure to stressors, whether that's an illness, a major life change, or those toxic relationship dynamics we just talked about, it leads to a critical biological shift. Basically, you hit a threshold and develop what's called a sensitized nervous system. Picture this. Imagine you're in the jungle and you barely escape a tiger attack. The next time you go back to that exact same patch of jungle, your brain takes a screenshot of that environment and puts you on maximum high alert. Your nervous system becomes hypersensitive. It's primed to expect another attack, assuming danger is literally everywhere. Because it's been dealing with so much stress, your body decides it needs to be ultra-sensitive just in case another threat appears out of nowhere. And this hypersensitivity, it leads straight into a trap. We fall victim to what are known as the 5 Fs. We try to fix our symptoms, we fight them, we focus on them constantly, we fear them, and we get frustrated by them. But here's the catch. These 5 Fs actually add pressure and keep your nervous system sensitized. So what's the solution? We use the anxiety umbrella. Instead of treating 50 bizarre physical symptoms, like brain fog, nausea, and palpitations, as 50 different terrifying diseases, you drastically reduce your cognitive load by grouping them all under one root cause, a sensitized nervous system. Think about it like having the flu. You don't have a sweating problem and a fatigue problem, you just have the flu. Treat the root cause, and all those other symptoms start to fade.
Let's dive into Section 4, the Alarm Recovery Protocol. This is how we actually retrain your system. So, how do we go about recalibrating a confused alarm system that views every little sensation as a lethal threat? We use the alarm protocol. That stands for acknowledge, label, accept, refocus, and move on. When a symptom hits, whatever you do, don't run from it. Acknowledge the elephant in the room. Label it by just saying to yourself, hey, this is just my sensitized nervous system. Accept it, giving it space to exist. Then heavily refocus on whatever you were doing, whether that's washing the dishes or driving your car. And finally, move on. True salvation here lies in actively responding to the symptoms to let your body burn off that excess adrenaline, rather than desperately trying to suppress or avoid the feelings.
Now, I have to be completely real with you here. Recovery is absolutely not linear. You are going to have setbacks, and that is completely 100% normal. Think of setbacks essentially as waves. If a massive wave of panic hits you and you try to fight it using those 5 Fs we talked about earlier, you will be pulled underwater. But if you ride the wave using the alarm protocol, it always passes, every single time. True progress isn't measured by an absence of symptoms when you're just chilling on the couch. It is measured by how skillfully you apply the alarm protocol when those waves hit you, full force. And finally, Section 5, mastering your inner peace through core confidence and autonomy. As you start to blend this medical recovery with deeper spiritual wisdom, something really magical happens. You develop core confidence. Now, let's be clear, core confidence is not about being perfectly symptom-free forever. It is a deep-seated, hard-earned trust that arises intrinsically. It's the absolute certainty that you can handle the storm from within whenever it inevitably returns, regardless of whatever is happening in your external circumstances. You don't try to become confident first. Confidence is the byproduct of surviving those waves. Which brings us to a really profound spiritual concept, Atmanirbar, which translates to true self-reliance. My response is my creation. Look, if someone is rude to you, or they ghost you, or they give you the silent treatment, and you immediately lose your peace over it, it means you've handed them the remote control to your emotions. You are letting them dictate your internal state. True self-reliance means taking that remote control right back. The situation exists, yes, but your calm response to it, that is entirely your own creation. The external stimulus, what people do to us, the general unpredictability of life, the ghosting, the fake apologies, all of that is completely out of our control. But our internal response is a deliberate choice. Reinforcing this boundary is absolutely vital. True independence isn't just freedom from bad people, it is freedom from our own emotional dependencies and reactive weaknesses. By understanding your biology, recognizing those external triggers, letting go of the 5 Fs, and actively practicing the alarm protocol, you transform from being a victim of a sensitized nervous system into a deeply resilient, self-reliant individual. The storm may rage outside, for sure, but you have built an unbreakable shelter within. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. How will you choose to respond to your next internal alarm?